Michael, thank you very much. Now for a breakdown of the upcoming Minnesota-Kentucky game, let's send you down to the CBS locker room where George Raveling is standing by with UCLA coach Steve Lavin. George?
Steve, Minnesota, a starless team with strong guard play. How is that going to factor into this game?
Well, Kentucky's full-court pressure is going to force Minnesota to be able to make good decisions, to be able to pass and catch the ball at high speeds and make good decisions. So guard play is critical. Minnesota's guards are going to have to be able to make good decisions at high speeds and pass and catch the ball and make good decisions at the end of it.
Okay, we heard it. Back up to the O'Brien nest.
All right, thank you, George. Coming up next, it's Minnesota and Kentucky in the national semifinal. And, gentlemen, the headline on this game, Clark.
Well, a couple of headlines. One, Anthony Epps for Kentucky has really struggled shooting the three-point shot. He needs to have a big game. The other thing, Minnesota has to figure out a way to deal with Ron Mercer.
Minnesota has to get a balanced scoring attack and watch the matchup of Eric Harris on defense on Wayne Turner when he's on offense. If Eric Harris can turn Wayne Turner's back, it'll have a big bearing on the game.
All right, let's watch together. We'll send you back down to Jim Nance and Billy Packer after this message and a word from your very own local station. Enjoy the game. We'll see you at halftime.
Lousy shoes.
E-Trade gives you what you need to turn a hunch into an investment.
Excess athletic shoes. Sell.
From $14.95 a trade. E-Trade. Get online.
Today, almost 700,000 people are celebrating their birthday. Chances are you know one of them. So call 1-800-FLOWERS right now and we'll give you 10% off any birthday arrangement. 1-800-FLOWERS. Just call our name.
CBS. Welcome home.
Husband, father, wife, uncle, dog lover, music buff, Girl Scout volunteer, rollerblader, cardiologist, cancer specialist, internist, surgeon. At St. Joseph Hospital, we care for you as a human being first. So we wanted you to meet our physicians as human beings first. St. Joseph Hospital, the science of medicine, the heart of compassion.
All banks give you choices. A great independent bank gives you solutions. Do you value solutions? Central Bank, Lexington's last great independent bank.
For every expedition to Mount McKinley, we safely carry about 2 million loads of groceries. For each foray across Death Valley, we drive thousands of kids to their soccer games. And for every traveler who ventures into the Arctic, we take countless families out for a chocolate vanilla twist. Jeep Grand Cherokee, with up to $11.50 in package values, it's the perfect vehicle for whatever destination lies ahead.
See your local Jeep and Eagle dealer.
Kentucky's largest selection of stoves, gas logs, and accessories. Fireside Gallery, Highway 11, Mount Sterling.
Hi, everybody. Jim Nance, Billy Packer, all set for game two. 2-1 seeds. Kentucky looking for that. Meanwhile, Minnesota, for the first time ever, experiencing the Final Four. What do you think, Billy?
Well, Bob,
night said this is the best Big Ten team that's represented in the NCAA tournament in a long time. I think he was right about that. This is not the same team Kentucky had last year, but great quickness on this team. This should be quite a basketball game. All right, Billy, let's get our seats back. It's all set now for the second game. Minnesota, Kentucky, lineups and tip coming up.
CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA National Semifinal game is sponsored by Nissan, Bud Light, UPS, and by Goodyear.
You've got this huge customer. They're so huge, sometimes they don't even know when they've received a shipment. Whose problem is this? Yours. That's why you ship UPS, because only UPS captures signatures electronically. Then you can use UPS online tracking software to see your customer's actual signature. So when they say, "We never got it," you can say not only did you get it, but you don't dot your I's. UPS Online. Are you connected yet?
Lousy shoes.
E-Trade gives you what you need to turn a hunch into an investment.
Excess athletic shoes. Sell.
From $14.95 a trade. E-Trade. Get online.
The forecast called for a calm, quiet meeting, but a tempest rages instead. It's often the case in today's international business climate, which is why the employee owners of United have prepared a place high above it all, with worldly comforts that refresh, restore, and renew. United Airlines, the calm before and after the storm. We don't just work here. Come fly our friendly skies.
Skyrat, this is Dirty Bird. I've spotted a gold mine with a freshly washed beauty.
Roger, Dirty Bird. Let's rock and roll.
All right, Skyrat, make it messy.
Still clean, DB, and almost home free.
Okay, Skyrat, I'll get him. I get you, I get you. Medic.
Arnold Palmer has won 4 green jackets. Jack Nicklaus captured 6. It is said that this man, Tiger Woods, could shatter their records. His quest for greatness begins at Augusta National, a tradition unlike any other. The Masters on CBS.
Minnesota and Kentucky. The Golden Gophers 31-3 on the year, while Kentucky was 34-4. Let's meet the players and the teams. And for the honors, back over to Frank Fallon.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the RCA Dome for tonight's NCAA game between the Minnesota Golden Gophers and the Kentucky Wildcats. And now let's meet the starting lineups. For Minnesota at forward, a 6'6" junior from Cottage Grove, Minnesota, number 5, Sam Jacobson. For Kentucky at forward, a 6'7" sophomore from Nashville, Tennessee, number 33, Ron Mercer. For Minnesota at forward, a 6'9" sophomore from Indianapolis, Indiana, number 4, Courtney James. For Kentucky at forward, a 6'9" sophomore from Louisville, Kentucky, number 34, Scott Padgett. For Minnesota at center, a 6'9" senior from Indianapolis, Minnesota, number 12, John Thomas. For Kentucky at center, a 6'10" freshman from Toronto, Canada, number 42, Jamal Magloire. For Minnesota at guard, a 6'3" sophomore from New York, New York, number 33, Eric Harris. For Kentucky at guard, 6'2" senior from Kentucky, number 22, Anthony. For Minnesota at guard, a 6'1" senior from Salisbury, North Carolina, number 24, Bobby Jackson. For Kentucky at guard, a 6'2" sophomore from Boston, Massachusetts, number 5, Wayne Turner. And the coaches for Minnesota in his 17th season, Glenn Haskins. From Kentucky in his 15th season, Rick Pitino.
Billy, let's get your game analysis for this semifinal contest.
Well, Jim, go with the flow is the first one, and that is what is going to be the flow of this game. 15 seconds is my call right here. How long will Minnesota be able to go ahead and get the game going their way? Watch the 15-second mark on the shot clock. Defense, a defensive offense, and that's Kentucky. Points off turnovers. They're averaging 26 a game. Let's see how they do with that. The bench, without question, in this Final Four, Minnesota has had the advantage. And do they contain Kentucky tonight with that bench? And number 4, MVP's day. Jackson against Mercer. I realize they won't be head-to-head, but both of these guys are capable of controlling the basketball game.
Kentucky has won 10 straight NCAA tournament games. Scagliotta, Libby, and Burr honored by getting the assignment tonight. Lauren Thomas will jump. Minnesota in the dark uniforms. Meeting for the first time since 1958. Minnesota and Kentucky.
Jacobson gets the assignment with Mercer.
Turner's had an outstanding tournament for Kentucky. Got Harris all over him.
Wow, look at those bodies going against Turner.
Mercer outside.
Very difficult shot on the fadeaway.
Jacobson is a strip. Paget ahead to Epps.
With Turner and Epps out here, you really have 2 point guards in the game for Kentucky. Gives them a good ability to distribute the ball, but they're going up against 2 great defensive guards.
Epps dumps it inside. The freshman McGlure is hammered on top of the head by Thomas. Minnesota came out of the Midwest region. Victories over Southwest Texas. Second round Temple. They cruised that first week. Then the double overtime game against Clemson, the regional final. Another stunning victory, beating UCLA, the 2 seed.
Jim, so many great games that weekend, but you might say that the double overtime with Clemson might have been the big game with the exception of the Kansas upset in the tournament.
Freshman from Canada, who's on the Canadian national team as a high schooler, scores the first point of the game and gets 1 of 2 at the line. Inside, again taken away. Minnesota without a shot on its first 2 possessions. Paget, 3. And Jacobson skies for the board.
Paget's got to hit that shot and walk in there. Nobody coming back for the ball. As you can see, Thomas came back, but the guards were running away, Harris particularly.
Kentucky out of the West with wins against Montana, playing the highest seed every step of the way. The 8 seed Iowa, the 4 seed St. Joe's, the 2 seed Utah to make it back to the Final Four. Mercer with that quick release and fouls out. Jackson has it.
And there's that curl move, and Minnesota looking to attack Kentucky every time down the floor. Not good hands on the inside by James.
4 possessions, 4 turnovers by the Golden Gophers. Nerves quite evident.
Jim, there is one constant, and that is hard-nosed defense. Minnesota holds teams down percentage-wise better than anybody in the Final Four.
Epps with a 3, and Kentucky's in front 4-0.
And here comes the pressure. When Kentucky scores, they're going to press. And look at Minnesota's going to attack.
Jackson, Big Ten Player of the Year. Doesn't get it to go. That was their first attempt. It took them 2 minutes to get a shot off. Mercer spinning and delivering.
He loves the open court game, and here comes Minnesota on the attack.
Jacobson fouled on the layup, attempt by Patchett.
Jim, the game plan is set. Clem Haskins has decided to attack against the press. Here we're going to see the kind of thing that only the gifted can do. Mercer in the open court. Reverse spin dribble. Fade away. Soft shot. Put it away. That's why he's an All-American.
First team All-America, unanimous All-Conference out of the SEC. May have not won, though, the Conference Player of the Year had Derek Anderson not gone down with injury. He may have been on his way to winning that honor. Jacobson will shoot one more.
Kind of interesting, Jim. When Anderson went down, he was the leading scorer on the team. They were both averaging a little over 18 points a game. Kentucky only once has ever had two guys averaging 20 points a game. That was when Riley and Dampier made it back in the Adolph Rupp days.
So Jacobson puts the Gophers on the board, and that's a travel.
Mistake by Turner. And Rick Pitino looks at Turner and says, why? And he's absolutely correct. You're the point guard. Turner acknowledges it was his fault. Kentucky showing zone.
There's Harris, who set out the practice yesterday with that injured right shoulder.
Good touch pass.
With hands, got it back to Thomas. James pinned. Whistle. 3-second violation.
Jim, what we have right now is that the game offensively is going inside to Thomas and James, neither one showing good hands at all. And that passing with a short distance.
Jackson defending on Epps. Jacobson makes the steal. 2-on-1. Over to Jackson for the layup. No, he missed it. They still haven't made a field goal almost 3 minutes into the game.
Jackson was anticipating Epps trying to draw the charge.
Magic comes up short. Slipped out of his hands. Epps with the interception. Picking it off like the wide receiver he was in high school.
Did we see a little of this in the first game, Jim, where North Carolina tried to go for home runs instead of playing solid? In a game that turned into a horrible shooting contest.
James with a rejection on one end and a chance to score inside. He gets rejected. Thomas scores with a slam.
Not pretty, but powerful. But every catch has been an experience so far inside.
Look at this. Turner with a 3-on-2. Epps on the wing. Three-pointer. He's got two of them.
Well, throughout his career, everybody has tried to put Epps on the bench, including Rick Pitino a few times, but he just battles himself back in there and has proved to be one of the real unsung heroes in college basketball.
Made that nice over-the-shoulder grab, though, didn't he? A moment ago, looked like his old high school football days. Layup by Jackson.
Fearless drive going right at McClure.
9-5 Kentucky.
Harris' job is to keep Turner in front of him. Don't let him penetrate. Don't worry about him taking a shot. Good help by Thomas. Jim, we talked about the bench, and here comes 5 subs in. 3 for Kentucky and 2 for Minnesota.
Bump on the back, foul on Thomas, and a TV timeout. We'll be right back.
Hey. Hey. You feel like renting a movie and
I just can't do this anymore.
rent movies?
No, this. Us. I need a commitment. I need a house. I need a wedding. I need a minivan. I want a little white picket and a big old ring. I want to be with you forever. Till death do us part.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
Ladies, this is getting way too easy.
Rumor has it there's a Porsche owner out there who also owns a Saturn. And sometimes he races it. Hard to believe? Well, it's even harder to find, because Porsche owners haven't been very forthcoming.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's the biggest crock. Still, it is something we wanted to see, especially when we heard that sometimes he wins. Well, it is just a rumor.
Pizza Hut memo number 20, large for medium. Okay, here's the deal. Your customers can now get any large pizza for the price of the same medium. That's right, any large for a medium charge. What's the catch? Well, each customer has to create their own coupon. It's easy. They can make one from a napkin, tack one to their hat brim, write one on their brother, or they can tape one to their mother. Well, maybe not their mother, but they can write one in the sky, they can put one way up high, they can... Okay, you get the idea. Pizza Hut, making it great again and again.
Flight 57 now boarding.
Hey, Junior, we don't want to miss our curtain. I hope you've got Hertz #1 Club Gold.
Well, not exactly, but this company's fast. Oh, sure.
Can't we skip the rental counter like it hurts?
Well, not exactly. Duh.
Hey, genius, I'm waterlogged. Doesn't your company have a canopy like Hertz?
Well, not exactly.
Remember, there's Hertz and there's not exactly. Choose the right one.
So you still think I'm the dummy?
Not exactly.
This week on Dave, from CBS News, Bryant Gumbel, Dan Aykroyd, actress Liv Tyler, Jean-Claude Van Damme, and rock and roll's David Bowie. This week.
Back at the RCA Dome, a scary note for the Arizona Wildcats right now. Jason Terry has been taken to a local hospital as a precautionary measure. He was knocked down toward the end of Arizona's win in the previous game. They think he may have hit his head, but more likely he's severely dehydrated. He's nauseous, he's dizzy, and as I said, Jim and Billy, they have taken him to a local hospital to keep an eye on him. We'll have more for you later on.
Okay, thank you. Michelle Tafoya.
Tough break for a young man who really contributed off the bench in that first game.
Let's hope he's fine for Monday night. Cameron Mills in the game, 21, handling the ball for Kentucky. They brought in also Nazi Muhammad, number 13, and this man, Jared Prickett, who scores on the inside. So 3 subs in for Kentucky.
Jim, it was Prickett and Mills who played so well against Iowa, scoring 26 of the first 35 points that Kentucky scored.
Double dribble called on Quincy Lewis, who just came in. Lewis, along with Trevor Winter, number 50 for Coach Clem Haskins.
That's what Kentucky will do to you. You take out a primary ball handler, and they just sense it and go right after it.
How about this? 7 turnovers. We're not even 5 minutes into the game. Charles Thomas also in for Minnesota. For 34. Prickett soars for the rebound, gets it over to Evans. And Jackson pulls it down. He can rebound for a man who's only 6'1".
There's instant offense.
Quincy Lewis knocked that one. And a push off on Kentucky.
Clem Haskins is going to go ahead and use that entire bench, which he's used so successfully throughout the course of this tournament. Against UCLA, he had 9 players who played double figures or more in the ball game, so not afraid to go to it. Shows a lot of confidence.
Miles Tarver in for Minnesota, 42. There's Lewis. First 2, Nazi Muhammad, a remarkable story, shedding 60 pounds. What a player he's turned out to be. Mills, what a shooter, too, in the tournament. He's now 14 of 19 from three-point range in the NCAAs, over 70%.
Jim did not score in the last game, but prior to that, led Kentucky in scoring. And look at where that press is. If they're going to throw the ball down in the deep right-hand corner, there's going to be some trouble for Minnesota. You've got to keep the ball in the middle of the court or go over the top.
Thomas a 3. Jackson, he thought he had one of his interior players underneath. Another turnover.
Very similar to the first game. We are seeing the style dictated by one of the teams. Kentucky forcing tempo here, just as Arizona did it against North Carolina, and it's causing Minnesota to be woeful from a shooting standpoint. I thought Mercer got hit on the arm on that jump shot.
A pass off of Mills. You say the style similar to the first game, so was the score. Carolina in the first game, bursting ahead 15-4. This is 14-5 Kentucky.
But I'm going to swap that, Jim. I really think that the pressure was created by Kentucky. In the first game, North Carolina lost the way they would like to play by getting that big lead. This is kind of the reverse here. I think Kentucky's got it exactly the way they'd like to have it being played. And they're back in that zone again.
Lewis pinned for a moment. Jackson steps up. A confident three.
Good fundamental technique by Jackson, stepping right into the seam for that jump shot. Young man from Salisbury, North Carolina. Went to junior college. Thinking about going to Wake Forest for a time, but ended up with Clem Haskins and has certainly produced.
Mercer, that shot blocked. Again, he thinks he got fouled.
He's absolutely correct. That's 2 jumpers in a row. Ron Mercer's been hit on the arm.
Minnesota brings back Eric Harris.
And here's the press. Keep the ball out of the corner so they can't trap you there.
14-8 Kentucky.
1-4 offense by Minnesota. And Kentucky goes man-to-man.
Harris drives, gets it over to Winter. Had a good look.
Jim, if Winter would have taken 2 steps in, he has a layup. That's a tough shot for a big man to hit. Just that little 6-footer. Kind of was paralyzed standing there waiting for the delivery.
Turner has it, knocked, got it back. But Winter was out of position, and Muhammad will shoot 2. Winter on the hack.
Beautiful catch by Muhammad. The ball was thrown down around his knees, and he was on the move. You love to see big guys with good hands. You see the pass right here. See how low the pass was? He still was able to catch it, not walk, and put it up so he goes to the line.
Mercer goes out, and into the game for Kentucky is Allen Edwards. He has been out since March the 18th with a small stress fracture in his right ankle. Missed the 2 games in San Jose.
Jim, a real testimony to Rick Pitino's positive attitude. To have a guy go down like Edwards, realizing his ranks were already depleted, and still coming back there with a guys willing to play and understanding even though they're depleted, they're still going to keep up this intense pressure.
Harris breaks the pressure alone, sets up Winter for the 2.
There was the difference. He took the step in and he ended up getting a layup.
Mills.
That's not his shot.
Prickett got it back. Prickett lays it in. Only the 2nd Wildcat in history to play on 3 Final Four teams. Walter Hirsch, the other.
And has played more games for Kentucky than anyone in their history.
And a charge drawn by Edwards. Winter off the pass from Harris, but Kentucky leads by 6.
Go where you wanna go. Find the road you've never taken. Pushing the boundaries back when you're up to speed and you wanna break out from the pack. Good year, it's your move. Good year, any way you choose. Serious freedom. Good year, good year.
Mighty Ruthie. Mighty Ruthie.
Mighty Ruthie.
She is infantry. Serving our country. I want a gold medal. The gold medal. We are number 1. Number 1 in USA.
Traditional luxury cars. The slumber, the serenity, the isolation. Hey, you're not dead yet. Presenting the supercharged Bonneville, one of the world's most powerful sports sedans. Made traditional luxury, rest in peace. Luxury with attitude. The Bonneville by Pontiac.
At Pennzoil, we know brutal driving doesn't just take place on a racetrack. It begins at the end of your driveway. You stop, you go. You stop, you go. If this reminds you of your commute, we recommend you use Pennzoil motor oil. Pennzoil, formulated for today's stop-and-go driving.
Morning, Bob. Morning, Henry.
Stop, go, Pennzoil.
Sadistic guards at this prison staged gladiator fights between inmates and made bets on the outcome. In some cases, the outcome was a dead prisoner. 60 Minutes, Sunday.
Jim Nance along with Billy Packer, courtside Indianapolis. That was a Wildcat.
Arizona or Kentucky?
That could be the matchup. We could have the battle of the Wildcats on Monday night.
And for the first time, Minnesota goes to a 2-1-2 zone. You always think of Kentucky being a great perimeter team. Let's see if they can go ahead and do something against this zone with Mercer out of the game. But he'll be coming in quickly.
That foul against Minnesota's Charles Thomas.
Jim, these two teams have got some common opponents. There comes Mercer in the game. Kentucky lost to Clemson right here on this floor in the BCA game to start the season 71-69 in overtime. And then you have Minnesota beat Clemson twice this year, including, of course, that double overtime in the NCAA tournament. Minnesota lost at Alabama. Kentucky won at Alabama. So what you can get out of that is we are right back where we started, two pretty evenly matched teams.
Saw Mercer return. He's made only 1 of 7 from the field, so he's cold also.
Well, I think he was fouled on 2 of them, Jim, and it's going to be up to him to get better looks coming off of that little curl move that he likes so well.
17-10 Kentucky.
Kentucky and Minnesota both showing zone.
Jacobson will return and gets the jumper, and he'll head to the line for a three-point play.
A brilliant shot.
Tough shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Jacobson from the corner, just a great shot. Bodies on him. Very strong young man.
Nazi Muhammad has now 2 personals.
Jacobson, of course, teaming with Jackson. With Jackson getting the 36 points and Jacobson getting the 29 against Clemson. Great shooting exhibition.
65 of their 90 on that night.
And here is a 1-3-1 half-court trap. Clem Haskins has shown him everything he's got in his defensive arsenal. Drops back into a 2-3 zone. They didn't get here early for nothing, Jim. Clem Haskins has put it all in.
And a whistle out away from the ball, and it's going against Kentucky.
I really like what Clem is doing. It was a 3-second violation. Mixing things up. Normally, Rick Pitino decides what the style is going to be. Right now, Clem Haskins is changing things up on him.
Patchett back in for Kentucky.
A man from Kentucky confusing Kentucky, huh?
That's Clem Haskins from Campbellsville, 75 miles outside of Lexington. Talked about Kentucky opening the season in the Dome here against Clemson. Now they've got to play Clem the Gym, as he's known by his friends.
3-time OVC Player of the Year. I was thinking, next to John Wooden, he may be the best player ever to bring the team to the Final Four as a coach.
Mercer snags it and takes off. Now slowed down from behind. It's a backcourt violation. But
very close.
Official right there. Patchett. It looked good all the way from our angle.
Beautiful follow through by Patchett.
His first 3. 20-13 Kentucky. And another turnover. They double teamed them, forced it. Mercer plays it in.
Bad decision by Harris. And Clem wants a 20-second timeout. He's not getting it.
Over the top. Look out. Tarver lucky to retrieve that. They get the lay-in. Slam dunk.
And Clem is asking for the 22nd anyway. Well, I don't know how he gets a 20-second timeout. It's Kentucky's ball.
They hadn't inbounded it yet. 22-15 Kentucky.
I think Rick liked it.
Arizona advancing with an 8-point win over North Carolina. Carolina 0-2 here in the RCA Dome. They lost by 6 to Kansas back in the '91 Final Four semifinal, and by 8 today.
Had the same bench, if you remember, against Kansas, Jim.
Prelude to a championship Monday night with our tip time 9:18. Arizona against the winner of this one. You know, a lot of people were thinking Kentucky and North Carolina, just a collision course destined to happen. And oddly enough, the two winningest programs in college basketball history have never met in a Final Four. Turner, and it won't happen this year.
That's what Turner does so well. That little lean-in type shot after he penetrates inside the foul line.
Jacobson to James. And he was fouled.
The last time James went after a play like that on this court, he was leading his team to the Indiana State High School Championship.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
James, in fact, from Ben Davis High School here in Indianapolis, and his high school band came out to greet the Golden Gophers when they arrived on Tuesday. As you said, Billy, 2 days ahead of everyone else.
You know, it's kind of interesting, Jim. Most people think, well, I don't want to go to the Final Four city. There's so much commotion there. Clem said the problem was we had such great fan following in Minneapolis. We had to get out of town to get away from it.
Monday morning, Clem Haskins went in to get some donuts at a donut shop, and he was out the door an hour and 10 minutes later.
And now Minnesota says, hey, Kentucky, teams that press don't like to be pressed. Let's try you for a while. Obviously not as effective as Kentucky's. You're going to be a good pressure team. You've got to do it just about all the time, particularly in practice. Got to be a state of mind in addition to how you're going to defensively employ yourself.
Epps had a big man on him, puts it outside to Padgett. Don't ever leave him open for a three. He's got 6.
Well, we saw in the first game where the likes of Dickerson and others never let Shammond Williams open for the jumper. And you're right, Jim, you cannot let Padgett open for that patented jump shot.
Kentucky's made 5 of 7 from outside the line. And enjoying now its largest lead, a double-figure lead, 10 points. Lewis. James, good position.
Good, powerful rebound by James. Boy, he's a wide body in there.
Jackson off the back of the rim.
Jackson really struggling, Jim. Up against Mercer. He's given up about 3-4 inches. Not able to get the shot off. Good solid screen. Prickett could have been ready for that jump shot of his own. He'd rather not take anything from the perimeter.
He would look to shoot more often back in his freshman year in '93 when he helped guide him to the Final Four. And a foul here.
There's a foul on a screen by Prickett.
And we've got a TV timeout under 8. We'll be right back.
Introducing the rugged new Montana from Pontiac. It's the only minivan with seating for 8. Life is more exciting in Montana.
Pick you boys up same time tomorrow?
Pizza Hut memo number 20, large for medium. Okay, here's the deal. Your customers can now get any large pizza for the price of the same medium. That's right, any large for a medium charge. What's the catch? Well, each customer has to create their own coupon. It's easy. They can make one from a napkin, tack one to their hat brim, write one on their brother, or they can tape one to their mother. Well, maybe not their mother, but they can write one in the sky, they can put one way up high, they can... Okay, you get the idea. Pizza Hut, making it great again and again.
So, where do you want this?
Hey now, I ordered a new copier.
This is better than new, my friend. Allow me to demonstrate. Oh, what do we have here? Wow. Enlarges, too. Even collates.
I'll take it.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
That was close. I didn't think I could shove this baby through.
I've been an engineer for Porsche for 26 years. We're looking for perfection, such an elusive goal. Yet we see it all around us. It's the basis for being successful. The search for perfection needs support from partners. And one of these partners is Mobile. All Porsche engines are developed with Mobile 1. And we tell owners to keep on using it. I think we have found with Mobile an excellent partner.
Basketball's a lot like the military, you know, defensive action, strategy, teamwork.
Yeah, big difference though.
Yeah, cheerleaders.
Jag returns CBS Friday.
And there's the man from Jack, David James Elliott.
One of the things, Jim, if you go against Kentucky's press, you cannot be down this far in the court. Now, we're going to see Minnesota go over the top and get by, but the center fielder almost picks this off. Minnesota gets very lucky here in beating the press. Almost a steal by Turner. Instead, Minnesota delivers for 2. But if you employ that kind of offensive strategy against Kentucky, about 7 times out of 10, it's going to be their ball going the other way.
Scott Padgett has knocked down 2 threes. So that foul on the screen against Prickett. Minnesota inbounding down 10. Quick hands of Jackson leads to 2.
There's the difference between passing the ball to a man with great hands than what we saw earlier by Minnesota with their big people inside. Here's the 1-3-1 half-court trap again.
Mercer, 2-pointer, toe on the line. Kentucky's hit 6 straight shots.
Well, Clem Haskins, when he goes back and reviews the tape, will have to think about employing that 1-3-1 again because Mercer spotted it quickly.
James.
Good execution by Minnesota.
29-21, Wildcats, 7:10 to go, first half.
Getting out on Padgett, saying, let me see if you can dribble by me.
Turner got stuck, and they say it's foul on the shot against Harris.
Tim Turner's absolutely amazing. We're talking about a point guard playing for Kentucky who this year has taken 15 3-point shots. You know, you just assume, hey, if you're playing point guard for Kentucky, you're a 3-point threat. He is not that. Anything from this distance on in. And from the foul line, only shooting 52.5%.
That one rolls off the rim. Tight rims was the viewpoint of our Mike Krzyzewski before the game, just scouting around, and we've had some awful shooting performances here on semifinal Saturday. Kentucky now 3 of 8 from the line.
Here is the pressure again. One of the things that Rick Pitino loves is to make free throws so the press can be put in play.
Had a spurt yet by Minnesota. Never led in this game. Lewis. They need him to get on track.
That's a nice touch pass by Thomas. They're seeing some woeful shooting, Jim, on the part of the teams trying to make comebacks here. Not by this man.
His first miss from out there. Minnesota ball. Minnesota's 31-3 on the year. Thomas comes back in. That's Charles Thomas. The only losses to Alabama, Illinois, and Wisconsin.
They won a lot of close ball games in the Big Ten.
And that double overtime game here in the tournament.
Of course, one of their big games, the big wins, coming back against Indiana.
7 down with 50 seconds to go. They dunked again.
Minnesota making up percentage-wise for getting a lot of good dishes on the inside of Kentucky's defense.
Minnesota's crowd jumps to its feet. Epps outside, tries to quiet him. Turner steps in, back of the rim. Minnesota quickly on the break. Bounce pass and a tough one, but it somehow lands in Jackson's hands, and a foul on Epps.
Minnesota's theory is just to force the ball right at Kentucky We'll see if it's going to be successful. Thomas with good hands puts this one away. Nice speed by Lewis.
That last whistle is on Prickett. He has 2. Mercer goes out. Prickett also with the 2.
Obviously, Minnesota, this being their first Final Four, never faced Kentucky in a Final Four, but Kentucky did play at Minnesota for a Final Four in '51, winning the championship, beating Kansas State with Cliff Hagan and company.
They brought Jacobson back into the game. Bobby Jackson, he was fouled on the shot.
Well, we saw Jacobson make a tremendous shot from the side there, and Jackson almost made that one.
That's the second on Padgett. 2 on Padgett, 2 on Muhammad, and 2 on Prickett.
3 times Jackson was Big Ten player.
Oh, चला गया वीरे.
जा भाई.
लगा टेलीविजन.
Players that accomplished that feat, and obviously.
लगा टेलीविजन. शक्ति देखना चाहता है? देख. कह दो जाओ. वो जाओ. जाओ भाई. बाजी चादर. ये ले जाओ चादर. ये मुंडे पे लगा रहा हूँ. मुंडा जा रहा है. सतरी काल करना. ये लो. हाथ ला के देखो. ऐसे. जल्दी देखो. ये देखो बच्चा है या नहीं है ये बताओ.
Big things expected of him when he came to Minnesota, but he broke his foot first day of practice last year, so he missed 7 games. Really didn't get himself rolling for the second half of the season.
Gophers have snuck back into this game, down only 5 now. Mercer, 3-point shot. And the Golden Gophers can continue to chip away. 30-25 Kentucky. Thomas, charge.
We see Thomas, much like Spicker in the first game, not that quick a foot.
Billy, that's the 3rd on the starting center for Minnesota.
Well, fortunately for Clem Haskins, he can go deep in a bench. We saw in the NCAA tournament, and I'll never forget the game, Stanford against Wake Forest, how Stanford went 4 centers deep against Tim Duncan in a successful strategy.
Trevor Winter will now anchor the inside for the Gophers.
They're trying to do everything they can to prevent Mercer coming from that curl move. That time they fouled him.
Miles Tarver, the culprit, his first. And a 1-on-1 situation. Minnesota did not lose a game this year against ranked opponents. Perfect 8-0. Quite telling, wouldn't you think, Billy? And Mercer does not manage to get a second opportunity, missing the front end.
Good job by Winter to control that ball rather than trying to make a big play.
Jackson threw it away. Edwards, 3-point. What about that?
What's happening is the second guard is running away from the first guard, causing problems for Minnesota.
Thomas cutting to the basket, in and out. Get another shot. No foul. Turner.
DeBoer got a piece of that one.
We approach the 4-minute mark. Kentucky by 8.
Nice defense.
Edwards, same spot where he made the one a moment ago. Wildcat ball. Cameron Mills will be coming into the Kentucky lineup after this timeout. 33-25 Wildcats.
The coming of age of the adolescent grizzly bear. A strange rite of passage where they cry out for their most primal, urgent need.
Heaven help us if they ever learn the Macarena.
Pepsi, Generation Next.
Just a reminder, next time you need a little help getting airborne, the 50,000 employee owners of United Airlines would be more than happy to help. Come fly our friendly skies.
The Fizz cellular phone from Philips Magnavox.
How do you make a Best Buy better? Start with 88 by Oldsmobile. Well equipped at $23,100. Selected one of the best values of the year. 88 is the only full-size car to earn a Consumer's Digest Best Buy award an unprecedented 7 years in a row. To celebrate, let's make it better. For a limited time, get an additional $1,000 cash savings on 88 by Oldsmobile. A Best Buy made better. See your local Oldsmobile retailer today.
Kentucky 33-25. And the difference from three-point range, quite significant. Kentucky's made 6, only one by Minnesota. And Michelle Tafoya, you've got a story.
Well, yeah, you guys, this arena is exceptionally breezy. I'm sure you've noticed it from where you are. In fact, Arizona's Miles Simon and North Carolina's Ed Cota both said after the previous game they've never been in an arena this breezy before. Simon added that it may have affected shooting percentages. Cota said that he was cold all the time, afraid to come out of the game because his hands were getting too cold. Both teams shot in the low 30s, and Minnesota and Kentucky aren't faring much better, guys.
Something you would never even think about, Michelle. In a situation like this, Minnesota will be with the wind in the second half.
Well, everybody's used to playing outdoors. When you grow up as a kid, you got to, give up something for windage. But we did feel a little breeze. I would find that.
You've been saying it yourself.
Yep.
Charles Thomas just picked up his third. So the Thomases of Minnesota, each with 3. Mills shoot one more.
Boy, you look about a pure stroke. The young man who was told that he would never get to play at Kentucky. If you really want to play college basketball, maybe you ought to go somewhere else. But his dad played for Adolph Rupp and said, this is where I'm going, and how about the opportunity to be part of the great history.
His father, Terry, played from 69 to 71. Backcourt violation.
Now, see, Jim, here's what's happening. The guards are getting by the trap sometimes, but the guards have to work as a pair. One guard beats it with a dribble, the other guard runs away and leaving a big man to handle the ball, which he's not accustomed to. Again, give credit to the Kentucky press.
Twelve turnovers today, including the first 4 possessions of the game. 3.5 to go, first half.
Tarver using his hands to check Mercer. So far, doing a pretty effective job with him. When you're not worried about fouling out, you can use those arms pretty liberally. Well, James was in great position down inside on Mills. They didn't get him the ball.
Got the arm. Did McGlure. Talked earlier about the 2 winningest programs being Kentucky and North Carolina. Never met in a Final Four. It's just hard to imagine. They have met twice in NCAA tournament history, both in regional finals, 77 and 95. And it won't happen this year.
Dean Smith played, his teams played against Adolph Rupp on numerous occasions. I mean, not as much as you would expect, but Dean Smith had the winning advantage over the Baron. The Baron, of course, in the latter years of his career. Nice pick up by Harris.
35-27. Kentucky's led all the way.
Bobby Jackson not letting Mills get open at all. Terrific job. Great job by Jackson. He understands, hey, look, we're not going to let Mills spot up and take a jump shot. If he's going to shoot, he's got to shoot off the dribble, much as we saw Arizona do to Shammond Williams in the first game. Make the shooters put it on the floor.
Jacobson fires and delivers. He's got 6. Brings them within 6. Kentucky a moment ago had a 10-point lead and possession. Again, that's roused the Golden Gopher followers. Mercer. Minnesota rebound. Been kind of an out-of-sync first half, but Minnesota can get close.
I think Ron Mercer allowed those 2 shots that he took where he got hit on the arm to affect him.
Jacobson's missed 12 straight from 3 in the tournament. Jackson misses the short one.
No place for Mercer to go here.
Edwards, whistle, and a walk. Coming up, Pennzoil at the half. Pat, along with Clark Kellogg and Coach K with their first half analysis, plus Lute Olson will join them to talk a little more detail about that first game. By the way, they ruled out a head injury to Jason Terry, and it looks like dehydration. He had suffered a cold earlier in the week, but he's still at the hospital undergoing some tests.
You notice Rick Pitino, a good move there. He took Mills out of the game to go ahead and instruct him a little bit as to how he's being defended and why he can't get that jumper off.
McLaurin with the steal.
Jackson insists on going down inside against Kentucky. Mercer having problems.
James, and he led Jackson too much. Really sloppy here for Minnesota. 14 turnovers now the count.
Well, as we said, Clem Haskins decided, you see him using a hand gesture to slow things down a little bit. But he started right at the beginning to say, we're going to attack. Hard to pull it back.
So a 20-second timeout called by Rick Pitino. And there's Clem Haskins. Grew up on a farm in Campbellsville, Kentucky. No radio, no TV. The first time he ever saw basketball, he was 11 years old. A neighbor, Dave Roberts, just threw a basketball in his direction. He snagged it with one hand and said, here, take a shot. His neighbor had just erected a goal out in the middle of an apple orchard. And Clem threw it baseball style from some 40 feet, hit the wooden backboard, and went in.
Now, the rest of the story.
he has the backboard in his basement at home. Quite a keepsake.
One of the best pure shooters that the game has seen on the college level. And of course, the great 9-year career as a pro.
He was the 3rd pick in the 1967 draft by the Chicago Bulls, who the next time they had the 3rd pick in the draft picked some guy named Jordan in '84.
Here's the press still on, a dangerous pass. Bobby Jackson's going to have to understand when Harris gets caught like that, he's going to have to come hard back to the ball. Kentucky will pick off those lobs.
Jacobson to within 4 in the final minute.
Boy, really nice deployment of Jacobson down there. Epps, who's a much smaller man, they're posting Jacobs up down inside and getting it to him.
Foul on Jacobson.
Trying to establish defensive tempo is Minnesota. A lot of aggressive play on the perimeter. Kind of a cheap foul.
The 10th team foul. Edwards will shoot 2. And with 33.7 remaining, Minnesota can have the last shot of the half if it wants it. Archambault has come in for Minnesota, number 3. Rush Archambault, freshman from Fort Yates, North Dakota.
Jim, you can see that Edwards is out of sync, you know, having been down. You know, a guy gets an injury where he's not able to run, and it really takes him, particularly the way Kentucky plays, takes him out of sync.
Kentucky under 50% from the line, 6 of 13. Carver looking for help. They got 3 seconds to get it across. Now, who did that touch last? Minnesota ball, 21-8.
Well, that's one way to advance it against the press.
Epps argued it was off the Minnesota player's face, and it looked like it did hit Archambault.
Yes, it did. The referees don't have instant replay.
So Minnesota, with a sloppy first half, can still make this really tight at the intermission. 9 seconds. And charge on Archambault with 3 seconds to go. Had the nice dish.
Clem Haskins down on his knees on that one. He wanted the call going his way. Sure wasn't squared up defensively on the contact.
See what kind of shot Kentucky can release with 3 seconds.
With 3, you can dribble that ball a long way. And here comes Epps.
Epps from outside midcourt. Over the backboard. And Kentucky had a 10-point lead at one time. That's cut in half at the half.
Pitino looked at Epps and said, I wanted you to drive with it.
Clem Haskins just shakes his head. He may find some solace in knowing that his team can't play any worse than it did right there. Andrea Joyce is with us. Andrea?
Coach, you got off to such a fast start. What happened to let Minnesota back in this
Well,
year?
Ron's off to a little bit of a slow start. His shooting's flat. Got to get some more arc on his shot. They're a tough team defensively. They're drawing us away from the basket. Just got to stay tough.
What other adjustments are you going to make in the second half?
Well, we're in serious foul trouble with our 2 power forwards. How to play with Edwards. I think we'll be much better in the second half.
Coach, good luck in the second half. Back to you, Jim.
He says serious foul trouble. They've got 2 on Padgett, 2 on Muhammad, 2 on Prickett. Meanwhile, Minnesota has a couple of players with 3, so they're the ones in trouble also, or more so. CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship continues after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA National Semifinal game is sponsored by Oldsmobile, Pepsi, Pizza Hut, and by Philips Magnavox.
Ever think of driving an Oldsmobile? You will. The all-new Cutlass. Redesigned, re-engineered, totally rethought.
The winner of the 4th annual Melbourne Mills Junior Law Office Stay in School Award is Mark Lyons of Bryan Station High School. The $2,500 award goes to the Central Kentucky senior who is judged to have resisted the most temptations, overcome the most obstacles, or withstood the most pressure to drop out of school before graduation. Congratulations to Mark, and thanks to all who participated. Melbourne Mills Junior, sponsor of the annual $2,500 Stay in School Award.
It's March in Kentucky. There's just one thing on everybody's mind. You're right, Chevy Madness. Get the easy-to-own Chevy Cavalier for $11,480 and $400 worth of gasoline at no extra charge.
Somebody else is paying for my gas.
But hurry, this $400 gas offer is only for a limited time. Plus, get a Chevy Madness basketball with any test drive. So break away for Chevy Madness at your Heart of Kentucky Chevy dealers now.
With the all-new Dodge Dakota, we offer a choice. A torquey Magnum 4 that is not the typical wimpy whiner, a serious high-output Magnum V6, and a real live Magnum V8. The only V8 in its class. 468. Now who do you appreciate? The new Dodge Dakota. It's full of surprises.
CBS Sports presents Pennzoil at the Half, sponsored by Pennzoil, formulated for today's stop-and-go driving. Stop, go, Pennzoil.
Indianapolis on a beautiful Saturday evening here in the Midwest, and Kentucky leads Minnesota, the Midwestern team, 36-31. Minnesota averages 14 turnovers a game. They have 15 in the first half. And hi again, everybody. I'm Pat O'Brien, along with Mike Krzyzewski and Clark Kellogg. We're here for Pennzoil at the Half. We're glad you're with us on this Saturday evening, Final Four Saturday. What about this turnover ratio for Minnesota?
Well, they have 15 turnovers in the first half. They're averaging 14 a game. They need to get a shot each time down the court. They're only down by 5.
Hey, you consider the fact they turn it over that many times, not down double digits. Kentucky shooting the three-point shot well. I agree with Mike. They've got to get better shots. Kentucky, on the other hand, will continue to try to play the way they like to play it, try to wear them down a bit.
All right, in our first game this evening, Arizona beat North Carolina, and joining us now is the head coach of Arizona, Lute Olson, who's been smiling for the last few weeks. I was saying earlier that you are the giant killer now, beating Kansas and now North Carolina, but your team is so competitive, Lute.
They are, and they're competitive, Pat, in everything that they do. I mean, if we've got a shooting drill and practice, they're at one another just in a shooting drill. They're a great group of young people, and they're fun to be around on and off the court.
Have you lied to them and told them they're a veteran team?
The whole thing is they're not afraid of anybody, and that's the point that we've tried to make. Hey, if you play hard with the kind of quickness we've got, we play together, we can beat anybody, and that's the attitude they have.
Lute, what about your half-court defense? I thought it was magnificent.
It really was. I was so pleased, Mike. We made a coaching mistake early. We should have not sent the third guy to the offensive glass, and we had to get this 20-second timeout just to make sure that we got the third guy back quickly, and we figured we'll battle it with the two guys on the boards. And half-court wise, they were having a miserable time trying to score against our quickness. And the inside guys did such a super job of switching that post-screening series and then the step in by Jamison. I don't think he got that one all night long on us.
Coach, talk a little bit about Mike Bibby. Every now and then a player comes along that plays far older than he actually is. He seems to have that special quality.
He does when the game starts. Now, away from the game, I mean, it's like he's more like a 15-year-old than he is an 18-year-old. But the thing is, the guy is such a competitor. There's his mom. He's such a competitor that. And plus, he can really stroke the ball, and we want him to stroke it more because he does shoot the ball so well. But what a great young man.
Yeah. Luke, congratulations. We're all happy for you, and I know you were supposed to be on vacation, but you'll stay here for a couple more days, right?
Yeah, we'll get our Save the Marys vacation in after it's all over. I think I'm in better shape now with Bobby than I've been for a while.
Thanks for dropping in. Good job.
Okay, thanks, Pat.
Let's go out to Michelle Tafoya, who's with a good friend of ours, another good friend. Michelle?
All right, Pat. Well, everybody in the RCA Dome knows this guy's name. He's taking a break. Ted Danson is from the CBS Monday Night Comedy Inc. And I'll tell you what, you play a columnist and Inc. This is your first Final Four. Can any columnist do justice to this scene?
Whoever coined March Madness was a genius. This is unbelievable. It's very rock and roll.
And what do you mean by rock and roll?
You feel like you can play basketball. You feel like you're a superhero just walking into this building.
Now, this morning, you're walking around wearing a maroon sweatshirt, and Minnesota Golden Gopher fans are thinking you're a Minnesota fan, but you are from Arizona.
I'm an Arizona boy. Yeah, I was thrilled by the result of that game.
I got to believe that. What do you think their chances are in the championship game? Who would you like to see him play?
Are you kidding? And wipe out a whole demographic for our show by answering that question? Oh, no.
He won't give up. All right.
Oh, no.
Pat, let's send it back to you.
All right, Michelle, Ted, thank you very much. Let's talk one more thing about this game. We were talking about balance with Minnesota earlier. Balance is fine, but at this point, you got to get a couple guys like Jacobson and Jackson to step it up and get in there and take over the game, right?
I think Clem might be saying, hey, balance is balance, but Sam and Bobby, you guys step forward a little bit.
The marquee guy for Kentucky, Ron Mercer, 3 of 13, being bothered by the physical contact of the Minnesota guys. He's going to have a huge second half.
Lute, I know we thanked you. We're going to bring you in as an analyst here for a moment. What do you like in this game? What do you see?
Well, you know, you talked about the turnover differential, but if you notice, Minnesota has really killed them on the boards, and I think there's only a one possession difference when you look at the rebound totals and the turnovers. So I think that's held them in there. But early, Minnesota was not getting out on their three-point shooters, their big guys, and it's so unusual to have a big guy that's got to get out and pressure the shot. But I thought they did a really good job of adjusting to that.
All right, well, Arizona is in the championship game on Monday night. Who will be the other team? We'll find out after this. Enjoy the second half here on CBS.
Pennzoil at the Half was sponsored by Pennzoil, formulated for today's stop-and-go driving. Stop, go, Pennzoil.
AT&T is trying to make things simple.
What about all these other long-distance offers?
Well, one says put stickers on the phone.
Another says pay a dime sometimes.
AT&T can make it simple.
One says you save up to 52%. But compared to what?
Yeah, just call AT&T.
And what happened?
They'll show you how you won't save big over what AT&T's already got.
Really?
Sounds simple.
Yes.
That's exactly what he's saying.
What, now you're on his side?
It's not about sides.
Don't start with me.
I believe they had problems before this. Simple, competitive prices for home or business.
One more drink, I'm like out of here. Anyway, I was driving over here, and it was so funny, you know? I mean, it was like TV or something, you know? This guy, he comes up to me, and, huh? Oh, man.
College basketball fans will remember the Alamo Dome when the 1998 Final Four comes to San Antonio. Ticket applications are available by writing to NCAA Men's Final Four, P.O. Box 411477, Kansas City, Missouri 64141-1477, or by calling 913-671-7707 between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Central on weekdays. Applications will be available until May 9th and must be received by midnight of May 30th, 1997. This message provided by the NCAA.
The year's most anticipated world premiere event won't be in theaters. It won't be on cable. It can only be seen on CBS.
The children should never follow in our footsteps.
From Mario Puzo, the author of The Godfather.
Your grandfather gave the order.
They own us. They own you and me.
Comes the epic story of the last great American crime family.
You have to show a little respect.
Is my little girl in danger?
It's a delicate situation.
On May 11th, history will be rewritten and the final battle begins.
I judged him guilty as you judged me guilty. I'm about to decide your destiny.
Mario Puzo's The Last Dawn, CBS Sunday, May 11th.
Minnesota regarded as the deepest team at the Final Four, but Kentucky had 9 players score in the first half, Billy.
Well, go with the flow. I said that Minnesota is going to want to have the ball in possessions over 15 seconds, and they really have. You can see, so that's an advantage to Minnesota. The more they can have the ball, the less frenetic the game becomes. Defense becomes offense, and for Kentucky tonight, they've only turned it into 10 offensive points, but they've turned it over. They've turned Minnesota over 15 times. Big advantage for Kentucky. The bench, how about this one? Kentucky with a big advantage here. Surprisingly, every guy that's been in the game, all 9 guys have scored. The MVP's day, hey, Jackson's getting the better of Mercer. Mercer is going to have to pick it up. So this game is too tight to call, Jimmy.
Mercer only 3 of 13 from the field. And CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA basketball Final Four will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
A new set of academic standards for freshmen is now in effect.
To practice, play, and receive an athletic scholarship, freshmen will need a minimum grade point average in at least 13 core courses in high school and a corresponding minimum score on the ACT or SAT. Ask your coach or guidance counselor about the new sliding scale and requirements.
Prepare yourself now. Want to play? Know the rules.
This message provided by the NCAA.
This is CBS.
Don't wait another minute. The Camry Countdown is finally here at Green's, Kentucky's automotive giant. The clock is ticking and the best deals on Camrys are taking place now. Green's is the closest authorized Toyota dealer to the plant, so we've got the very best selection of new and used Camrys in Kentucky. We are stocked with Camrys of all colors and every option package imaginable, and we have over 70 available for immediate delivery. Get behind the wheel of the #1 selling car in America, but get to Green's this month before this sale goes up in smoke.
Fuzz
Mazzoli celebrates two sensational new samplers. Juicy meatballs and hearty meat sauces on a platter that's a feast for meat lovers. Primavera vegetables, rich tomato sauce, and ricotta stuffed ravioli on a fresh new veggie sampler. It's a sampler celebration you won't want to miss. Kids' meals are just $1.99 every day.
Delivering power is one thing. Delivering it under the toughest conditions is another. At your local electric cooperative, we use the most up-to-date technology to provide stable, reliable service. And if need arises, we can call on neighboring cooperatives for assistance. So your home is actually connected to the largest utility network in Kentucky. Quality service, lasting value. We're your local electric cooperative.
Whitehall Funeral Chapel's proud tradition, still the best by serving one family at a time.
Game is sponsored by Genuine Chevrolet, Nike, Visa, and by Budweiser.
Oddly enough, Minnesota outshot Kentucky field goal percentage-wise and had 8 more rebounds than Kentucky in the first half. How about their shot selection, Billy?
Well, Jim, you can see right here, Minnesota getting nothing from the perimeter. 1 for 6 out there, and obviously they'll have to pick that up.
Kentucky has never trailed. Its largest lead was 10. Minnesota was down 10 in the second half in the regional final against UCLA and then exploded for an 8-point victory.
There's Kentucky starting off in a zone in the second half. Minnesota mixed their defenses up a lot in the first half.
Under 10 on the shot clock. Harris, 3-point shot, and that's a huge one for confidence.
Absolutely. There's the kind of possession that Minnesota needs a lot of. That's what I was talking about. Under and over 15. That was one of those over 15. They got the shot they wanted.
And they're within 2. Epps, 2-point swish.
But what a winner he is.
Like you said, Billy, so many different guys they've tried to replace him with. Jackson, Thomas on the foul. Minnesota coming out of the locker room here with a nice boost.
Great hands by Thomas that time. I talked about his hands at the beginning of this ball game, but that was a good catch. Padgett would rather shoot facing the basket.
And a foul here on Jacobson. Pushing from behind, his second.
That was a little bit more than a push, it looks like, based on the referee's interpretation. Looked like a forearm shiver. Jacobson using a lot of good strength against Mercer. You thought Mercer's quickness would beat him to the spot, and that hasn't been the case.
Off the back of the rim, James pulls it down. Minnesota can take the lead with a 3.
How about that dribbling maneuver?
Blocked out of bounds.
McGlure blocked that one to the point that he put Bobby right on the floor.
Trap Jacobson.
The last place you want to go against Kentucky is into the deep corner.
And it's going to be just an uncontested dunk.
You do not want to have the ball in the corner for double teams, either coming up the court or once you get up there. He invited disaster, and that's what happened.
Quincy Lewis comes in.
Clem Haskins showing some real displeasure with Jacobson. Didn't even say anything to him as he walked by. And another bad pass.
Now, this is...
What's happening, Jim, is that Minnesota not coming back to the ball with their guards. They're trying to throw over the top, and that's not what you want to do against this Kentucky team with James and Thomas.
Traveling on Mercer. So they return the favor. 7 turnovers by Kentucky.
Ron Mercer moving that pivot foot.
Quincy Lewis is averaging 9 off the bench in the tournament, has not scored today.
There Harris came back for the ball.
Another turnover. Epps lobs. Mercer missed the one-handed jam. Epps over the Kentucky bench. He's still angry about the missed alley-oop.
Jim, we've seen the lob pass overused in both games tonight. A good solid bounce pass would have created 2 points. There's Epps with the catch and the takedown.
Jackson right back over. Then 2 to Harris.
And there's the way you convert the 2-on-1 break. The lob sometimes overused.
40-38 Kentucky.
How about the way Jackson breaks a man down defensively?
Best in the Big Ten this year.
How often do you see a guy being the player of the year and also the defensive player of the year in the same league?
It's never happened in the Big Ten until this year. Jackson with Epps. They got tangled. They'll call it on Jackson.
Notice how Ron Mercer pleading with the official that he's getting hit on the arm. Now, I didn't see that one being hit, but it's starting to work on his mind a little bit that he hadn't been able to bury any jumpers. Sometimes you want to get physical with a shooter. It's affecting him.
Jared Prickett comes back in, senior from Fairmont, West Virginia, Mary Lou Retton's hometown, and he'd like to go for the gold on Monday night himself.
Great cut by Turner.
Minnesota again, a 2 to tie, 3 for the lead. Tough pass. They got it to James, missed the jam, but he'll shoot free throws.
James is really a wide body. So powerful in there and upset with himself. Sophomore's had an outstanding year. Passing inside, good hands. Just can't elevate, take that big body up there to make the jam.
Padgett's picked up his 3rd, so he heads to the bench, and Nazir Muhammad comes in. Muhammad has 2 himself.
Number 8 rebounder in the Big Ten is James, known as the court wall. Big, powerful young guy.
I think 2 years ago he won the coveted Indiana State High School title in this dome. Monday night he could possibly play for the national title with college basketball. That free throw that rattled out would have tied it. Epps, tough shot. Prickett to Epps, goes outside. Mercer can't resist, hits the 3.
Jim, one of the first few good looks that he's had at the basket with nobody in front of him.
Charles Thomas out of control, but John Thomas there to put it up and in.
Second time in this half that Thomas has picked off a pass that converted to a layup.
Turner on the drive.
Game again starting to get to be Kentucky's pace.
45-41 Wildcats.
Good backdoor.
Quincy Lewis slashing, tipped up and in. I'll give that credit to James.
I think it's going to be James. You're right, Jim. But that's a good backdoor cut by Lewis. Now Mercer's got Lewis on him. See if he can get a screen down here to rub off for his jump shot.
Turner had it stripped by Harris, got it back. And Lewis read that one.
Yep. Prickett telegraphed the pass. You're exactly right, Jim. Little scowl on Ron Mercer's face.
Minnesota's knocked down only 2 threes today. This one would give them the lead. Tipped up.
Foul from behind. Thomas and James are doing the job on the offensive glass in the second half.
Foul on Nazir Muhammad, number 3.
Here we see the tip. James and Lewis both going up. James got a piece of it. Right now, Minnesota's power is starting to take over.
Minnesota only 2 down. We've got the under 16 timeout.
I do not drive to work. I do not drive to get from point A to point B. I do not drive to run away from the world. I just love to drive.
The new 1997 Monte Carlo. Personal space. From genuine Chevrolet, the cars more Americans trust.
Lisa Leslie scored 101 points in a high school game.
That is an amazing record.
And she was so intense, you could see it on her face.
Like every couple of seconds, she had to be scoring a bucket.
But just scoring 100 points by yourself is tough. Imagine if you got people playing defense.
I can't even imagine it.
101 points. That was at the half.
She scored it in one half. That's when the other team couldn't stand it, so they left and went home.
See the dude. Be the dude. Whoa.
Nothing's more intense than slamming a dude.
They're coming from Japan, from Russia, from everywhere, but they all wind up in the same place. The Wound & Wound Toy Company, one of the world's largest collections of wind-ups, LA's hottest movers, shakers, and big talkers. So bring your inner child, your real child, and your Visa card. Because at the Wound & Wound Toy Company, you won't wind up with anything using American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
If you got tomorrow's news today, would you have the courage to change the future?
Everybody get down!
Meet one man who does. Early Edition returns in 2 weeks.
And the stars of Early Edition enjoying the Final Four. Early in this edition of the national semifinals, it was really ragged for Minnesota, but you sense the Golden Gophers now are starting to get in sync. Jackson, jumper. Well, good defense by Edwards. Went right up, forced him to alter the shot without fouling. Several tries to tie it in this half, gone awry. No shot, hand check on Jackson is going to be called. Jim, right now, Kentucky shooting right under 40%. Last year, surprisingly, when they beat Syracuse, Kentucky shot 38.4%. That's the lowest shooting percentage of a winning team since Loyola Chicago beat Cincinnati way back in 1963. So you don't always have to have that big percentage to be the national champ. But I'm sure Rick Pitino would like Ron Mercer particularly to start hitting some shots. Mercer's on the bench right now. 5 out of 17 in the game is Mercer, the All-America. Turner in traffic, another foul called on Minnesota. This will be the 4th team foul. And this one again is on Thomas, and that's his 4th. Jim, I noticed Jacobson coming back into the ball game, but more importantly, down on the other end, it was kind of interesting to see that Clem Haskins get up with Eric Harris, and Eric had ice packs on that shoulder that he injured in the Clemson game, and we saw yesterday in their workout he did not even step on the floor, so obviously he's having some trouble. He'll replace Charles Thomas with the 4 fouls, and Mercer comes back in. Notice how he's carrying that right arm. Is Harris. Talking about Harris, yeah. Brickett on the drive. 3rd foul on this trip committed by the Minnesota team. And it's on James. There's Eric Harris. Yeah, he had the ice pack underneath his jersey. You can see where he's all wet there. First New York City player to play for the Golden Gophers since Ray Williams. It was a great one for Minnesota. Mercer. Oh, there's the elevation and the square-up look that Kentucky fans are used to seeing in Ron Mercer. 47-43 Wildcats. Jackson, bounce pass, James, charge. Will they count it? Minnesota's calling for it. And technical foul, and Clem is really in trouble here. He threw his jacket. He better be careful. He doesn't want to get 2. We remember what happened the last time in the Final Four here. Dean Smith was coach whistled for 2 and sent out of this arena. The assistant coach should grab Clem and move him back.
He's out of the coach's box.
But the competitive juices are flowing on Clem right now. Good job by the assistants.
So they did not count the James basket. And Derek Anderson's come in to shoot the free throws. How about that? Derek Anderson, who has not played since January. No one ever imagined he'd set foot on the floor when he was injured with an ACL injury.
Now we have an emotional moment right here. Clem Haskins calls his team over for the emotional lift. Rick Pitino judges that, sends his team over to talk, and Anderson hits the pair, Jimmy.
How about that? Derek Anderson gets in the box score at the Final Four. Here's the one that Haskins was upset about.
This is a close call. Could go either way and really went against Minnesota.
Did you think McGlure was set?
I didn't.
I did not either. He was shuffling to the scene.
Let's see what the Minnesota players are made of now. Clem rallied the troops, and he's lucky he's still here. Jacket's still off.
Mercer. Tie up, and it's Kentucky ball.
And now Clem still is upset. He needs to get his composure. Work all your life to get to the Final Four. You got to really get it back together.
That call goes the other way. They have a chance to shoot a free throw to get within 1. Instead, Kentucky now with the possession. Also, after the technical, can go up 8. So it's a significant ball, and Mercer in fact makes it 8.
And on the attack is Kentucky with their defense.
Jacobson.
Not a good shot. Clem would be smart to take a 20 and get everything settled back down again, Jim.
To the corner, huge three. Epps overshot it. They got him.
And Clem is going to take a 20-second timeout. This is a very smart move in his part. Get himself calmed down and his team.
National Coach of the Year. Clem the Gem, only the 2nd time he's ever coached against his home state team, Kentucky. The other time he coached against Kentucky was in the tournament in '86. It was his final game as the head coach at Western Kentucky. It came in the 2nd round of the NCAAs, and Kentucky prevailed 71-64.
Jimmy got his start from Gene Katie, who was then the coach at Western Kentucky. Hired Clem as an assistant. They've been close buddies since, and now, of course, coaching rivals in the Big Ten.
Never got to play against Kentucky. It was 1 game away from it in '66, and he's still upset about a call that happened in the tournament against Michigan that year that prevented him from meeting Kentucky in the next round. Happened with 11 seconds to go.
Where is Bobby Jackson going?
Look at Turner. He'll pull back, wait for the rest of his team. Epps from the wing, 3-point shot. Cricket.
What happens, Jim, when you play against a team that is so good with pressure defense like Kentucky? You think you have them beat because some teams will press and then retreat. Kentucky will press, you beat them, then comes another press against you. Bobby Jackson's got to understand that.
3 on Prickett.
Here's Harris. He's going to try to speed it. Jacobson's got to move back.
That 3 on 2. Turner got to the spot in a hurry, knocked it out of bounds.
Very important next about 1 minute and 30 seconds to see if Minnesota can regain their composure and not crack here with this point differential that has moved to 8 when it could have been, as you said, Jim, down to 1.
On that 1 possession. Prior to that trip, they had several tries to tie it or take the lead as they shot a 3. Jacobson outside, cans it. 2-point shot.
Excellent reverse off the pass by Jacobson right in front of Mercer.
That snaps the 6-point Kentucky run. 6-point game. Epps had it knocked loose from behind. Jacobson on the floor. call a timeout?
Yes, he did. And
a 20.
Carver with a good defensive play there.
Monday night, championship night. Prelude to the championship, sponsored by Honda. 9 o'clock with the tip at 9:18. Arizona Wildcats already set for Monday night. If Kentucky gets there, it'll be only the second time ever that the championship game would pit two teams with the same nickname. And the other one, you mentioned the game already, was the 1951 final, Kentucky against Kansas State.
Bill Spivey, the All-American center for Kentucky, MVP in that particular Final Four. Ramsey Hagan, one of Rupp's great teams.
Jackson only got across with a second to spare.
Mercer dodged the foul there, using his knees to hold Jackson off.
Jackson brings it to 4, 51-47 Kentucky.
They give Clem Haskins some credit. He's
Brickett's in the line.
Give Clem Haskins credit here. That 20-second timeout calmed himself and his team down.
That last basket by Bobby Jackson, his first points of the second half. He has 13 for the game.
Rick Pitino wanting to do a little bit of coaching himself now with a 20.
How about Rick Pitino this year? He loses 7 players in all from last year's team, 4 to the NBA draft, 1 a redshirt. Jeff Shepard will be back next year, 1 a transfer, and Anderson to injury. I mean, this might be his best coaching effort. I can't imagine anything to top it.
Well, you know, Rick said early in the year, and he's a very honest guy about his appraising his club. He said, you know, after looking at us early in practice, I thought we could be a 500 team. We're talking about a team that is now in the Final Four. A terrific coach.
44-year-old, the 25-6 record in the NCAA tournament at Kentucky, 80%. Just one past Mike Krzyzewski, in fact, with the last win percentage. Jacobson, 3 from way out there.
There's a push by Paget, rather. Minnesota is playing such hard-nosed basketball under the basket. They're just willing themselves some rebounds.
Paget for his 4th. And there's the under 12 timeout. McGlure will be replacing him when they come back. Minnesota's fighting back within 4.
The ice should be kept at 38 degrees.
Hi, Gus.
Hi, Bill. And you get your own special place in the fridge. You are going to love it here. The tap lines are super clean. The glasses are spotless. I'm going to miss you, too. Bye.
Budweiser. What fresh beer tastes like.
Yeah, he's weird, but he's good to the beer.
Excuse me, think your disposable razor shaves as comfortably as his Gillette Sensor XL? Yeah, well, try Sensor XL. It'll change your mind. After one shave with Sensor XL, we bet you don't go back. Because only Sensor XL has protective microfins for extra comfort. Whoa. And self-adjusting blades for extra closeness. Disposables don't. And Sensor XL gives more shapes per blade than any disposable.
Excuse me.
Take the Sensor XL challenge. Bet you don't go back to disposables.
Hey, I want my Sensor XL back. Hey, hey!
A punctual boy, our son.
Punctual?
All over the world, UPS drivers are the same. Ask their mothers.
He's not rich, he's not handsome, but punctual.
He was even born on time.
They're obsessed with being on time. That's why UPS guarantees on-time delivery to hundreds of cities around the world or your money back.
If my son says he will be there, he will be there.
It's a guarantee that not only has our driver's word on it, it has their mother's.
He breaks out in a rush if he's late.
Aye.
Just located another test site.
Talk to me. Road testing, Stuttgart, monitor 6.
Lateral G is 0.93.
Speed, miles per hour, 150. Push in, 500%.
Pushing in 500%.
Speed, 160 and climbing.
Enhance that.
Speed, 170, still climbing.
Anybody have any idea what this is?
I do.
Well?
It's the next vet.
Get me one.
Honey, I have a little question. If you could be the world's all-time greatest basketball player, but you had to give up sex, could you do it?
Ink, Monday, April 7th.
And the Goodyear Blimp providing the aerial shots of the Circle City, hosting a Final Four for the 3rd time. The other 2 times it was held here, the team coming out of the Midwest region won the championship.
Spells good news for Minnesota, huh?
Could be. Let's go over to Andrea Joyce. Injury update. Andrea?
All right, Jim, you probably noticed that Ron Mercer is at the end of the Kentucky bench. His thighs are cramping up. The trainer, Eddie Jamil, is massaging both of his legs. He says that his left leg is worse than his right. They'll put some ice on it as well. Back to you guys.
He's going to go ahead and say, I'm ready to check in, coach, and he's going to come in on the next whistle.
I think Rick Pitino wanted to check in to get moving on it instead of sitting over there and letting it tighten up on him, Jim.
Look at that pass. For 2. How about that? 51-49, Kentucky's lead dwindles to 2.
Great intestinal fortitude on the part of Minnesota to come back from what could have been disaster, Jim. Emotional disaster on those technicals.
Shot clock. Turner, crazy shot.
That was great defense by Eric Harris. He kept Turner right in his face.
Jacobson inside Harris to tie it. Again, they squander the opportunity.
22nd timeout by Epps.
Bobby Jackson.
How about that one? How about the reverse English he put on that? Because he's going to have it in his right hand. And has to reverse the English. How about that? Terrific shot. Well, it started off being something that Dr. J began. Michael picked up.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a pose that we've seen on an insignia before. Is Jackson from under the cylinder brings Minnesota within 2. However, the Golden Gophers, they've had 4 trips now in the second half to tie it.
Jim, Ron Mercer is standing there bending over like he really is having some problems. Let's see whether or not he can sprint or elevate. Looks like he's having a lot of concern with his thigh.
Rickett looking for help. And Tarver takes it out of the sky. Jackson for the lead. Time tonight. Minnesota moves in front.
He was off balance. Jim wasn't sure he wanted to shoot. Put it up.
52-51, Golden Gophers.
2 great plays by Jackson, one inside and one from the jumper.
And away from the ball, a foul called against Jacobson. His 3rd.
I believe Jacobson was coming out anyway with Lewis ready to go in, picked up the foul.
Charles Thomas, Quincy Lewis come in for Minnesota. Here's the shot.
Now watch out.
Gave them their first lead of the game.
He was off balance, wasn't sure he was going to shoot, then squared it up. I watched him in practice yesterday. He never takes a jump shot where he isn't perfectly squared up. And that helped him. The technique was all there.
A 1-and-1 for Mercer. That ties it. Total tournament time for Kentucky, trailing in the second half. 15 seconds. They trailed for 15 seconds in the second half against Iowa. And about the same length in this one as Minnesota's lead was short-lasting.
Well, Jim, I'm sure that Clem Haskins would say to Tom Davis, thank you very much if they turn out to be successful, because Iowa, the one team that can teach you how you have to play against Kentucky.
Bobby Jackson up ahead. Thomas will wait for help.
Good decision, but Jackson needs to get out of the corner. Wisely does.
Looking to take the lead back, having it ever so briefly.
Nice patience here.
Jackson, another 3. Put back. Tarver missed a short one with no one on him. And we're under 10 minutes to go in the semifinal.
Courtney James up off the bench. Mills off the bench. Coaches sending in different types of players.
Lewis got a hand on it, but Turner was in the right spot. And a block on Tarver.
It really was. Tarver never set.
That was with 5 seconds on the shot clock.
Jim, Kentucky looking to try to repeat as champions. They repeated as champions back in 48 and 49. Did Kentucky? Adolph Rupp's great Fab Five teams with Rosen, Beard.
1-1 in line.
Of course, Duke started their first championship of their repeat right here on this court. There's that odd shooting style of Turner. The other thing you've got to consider in this game, Jim, I think this is a much more difficult game than was the first one in terms of what it's taking out of the two teams physically. It's going to take a lot to recuperate. The winner will have a lot to recuperate from off of this game, regardless of which team it is.
2-point Kentucky lead. John Thomas called for it, and he got it.
Turner got stuck down on Thomas, who's had an excellent second half.
Gave a wide-eyed signal that, hey, I'm open, and they fed the big man. Muhammad, did he travel? Yes.
We see that action down underneath the basket. Thomas had Turner. Good look by Bobby Jackson. Jackson needs to back up a little bit.
James is looking for the lob, but the pass deflected and stolen. Turner takes the middle. Rejected. Oh, it didn't look like a foul. They call one on Quincy Lewis.
Jim, Clem Haskins doing exactly what I'm kind of doing over there, holding his head saying, why are we throwing these lobs when we have the numbers on the break? We've seen a number of turnovers in both games where players want to just throw it up in the air. Spectacular, but not solid.
That's 10 team fouls on Minnesota, only 4 on Kentucky in this half, so 2 the rest of the way for the Cats.
Now we're here in Indianapolis. I saw Oscar Robertson at breakfast this morning. I bet you he winces when he sees plays like that. You know, make it easy, guys. The two-handed chest pass still may be the best way to convert on a 2-on-1 break.
Thomas better look out. And Epps came in to get the steal.
Just like a safety in football.
Pricking underneath. And it's a 4-point lead for Kentucky. Thomas from the line. And the other Thomas, John Thomas, unable to tip it in.
Well, Kentucky has met one challenge. There will be some more. But a great recovery on their part.
Under 8 on the clock. Muhammad. Hook.
Huge shot.
6 unanswered. The next whistle's the under 8 timeout. Thomas spins away. Minnesota should convert here. Uncontested. Muhammad moved out.
He was just trying to get back to get down under the basket and trip, Jim. But he made the big hook shot. Ron Mercer not moving as quickly without the ball as he has in the past.
There's Mercer. Blocked, but he calls a foul on James. And Mercer may have hit his, he hit his head.
No, I think he was hit, Jim, with an elbow while he was in the air, not hitting his head on the floor. In either case,
he is bleeding.
He's bleeding, so he's going to have to come out of the game. Now, is Anderson going to come in and shoot for him? Think about it.
But if you bring Anderson in, and he missed, he'd be on the floor in live action, and that's something that Rick Pitino won't do. So Cameron Mills will be the man who will shoot the free throws.
Now Mills, surprisingly, is only a 68% free throw shooter. Anderson is an 80% free throw shooter. You can select anybody you want when you have an injured player.
Mills 3 out of 3 tonight. And here's Jacobson. He has 3 fouls. Jackson out. Let's see what they do without Jackson. They want to get just a little extra breather here. Should he hit this free throw, we'll have the under 8 timeout.
Jackson played 49 minutes against Clemson, Jim, in that double overtime game.
All but one. Now the teams will head to the bench. Kentucky saw Minnesota pull ahead by 1, but then breaks in front by 6.
Like a rock. Hey, when are you gonna buy a new truck and sell me this one? You know you deserve a new truck, man. Oh, come on, man. You know, I've been asking you for years how much you want for it. You know, ballpark, what do you think? I mean, you gonna keep it forever? Come on. Right.
Chevy, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
I think I might know someone who can take it off your hands for you.
Really?
Welcome to the MMX Technology Department at Intel, where highly trained professionals are engaged in the extremely precise process of adding fun to the Pentium processor. Intel MMX Technology. It will make your multimedia dance.
This little celebration is brought to you by the people who've helped so many other people understand and enjoy cellular phones. Radio Shack, America's #1 retailer of cellular phones. Surprised? We're not. We're just happy. Radio Shack, you've got questions, we've got answers.
Enterprise? Hi, I'm at the repair shop. I need to rent a car.
Enterprise will arrange to pick you up,
This is great.
drive you to our place, and get you on your way. Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
Go where you want to go with all-season Goodyear AquaTread. Its deep groove aqua channel sweeps water away for serious traction, especially in braking.
Serious freedom. Goodyear, Goodyear.
Here's Epps, former football player, acting as a free safety. He's cut this off. He's going to anticipate the pass to the middle. The double team is here. The overplay's here. Watch what happens. Anticipation, perfect job by Epps. The pickoff, Kentucky's defense is their offense.
During that timeout, Bobby Jackson was being stretched out on the end of the Minnesota bench. This was just moments ago. And he is on the bench. He's cramping that leg, they say.
Prickett does not beat Thomas to the ball.
For Prickett, his 4th. Mercer comes back in.
Jim, I'm taking a look at Jackson. Looks like he's going back down there for some more stretching. In my estimation, unless he can get back out on the floor in the next minute or so, that spells real trouble for Clem Haskins.
Well, trouble for Kentucky, and well, here's the steal, Turner. And Minnesota ball.
And the referee says I made a mistake.
Changes the call. But for Kentucky, I was going to say Prickett and Padgett each with 4 fouls. And again, not a deep Kentucky team. Tarver comes in.
Tarver has played some hard-nosed basketball out here. Excellent minutes off the bench.
7 minutes remaining. Kentucky by 6. Epps.
There's Tarver again, keeping it alive.
Ahmed, though, kept it going for Kentucky.
Minnesota stays in the zone.
Epps. Minnesota ball. So 3 shots at the basket. Kentucky doesn't convert. Kentucky on an 11-4 run since Minnesota took that brief lead. And Mercer with the body is whistled.
Jim, I think that Mercer is starting to wear down physically a little bit himself. We showed that he had some cramping out there, but he doesn't look anywhere near as quick as we've seen him in the past. Maybe because of the bodies Jacobson's been putting on him, and Harris and others.
Jacobson gets past Mercer and stay outside.
There was a good example. Jacobson's not quicker than Mercer, but he was on the play.
6.5 to go. Gophers need to dig in for another run.
There's Jacobson open.
Lewis, 3. Turner whistled for that, and that will be a 1-and-1, the 7th team foul against Kentucky.
The bench and the power of Minnesota is now starting to wear Kentucky down. Just as we saw North Carolina in the first game starting to get fatigued, you're really noticing it with Kentucky now.
4 on Thomas, 4 on Padgett and Prickett. So Tarver will shoot a 1-and-1.
You know, Jim, when you really think of the 4 teams, the freshest team is going to be Arizona. I'm talking about North Carolina certainly was worn down in that first game. If they had to continue, they'd be in real trouble. Arizona looks like the freshest bunch.
They never looked fatigued today.
No,
that win against the Tar Heels.
They've got the fresh legs. Bobby Jackson getting ready to come back in the ball game. Minnesota goes zone.
Padgett makes it a 9-point game.
You just cannot allow him to stand still and shoot his jump shot.
Hit a shot like that to break Iowa's heart.
But he's so big when you play zone, he spots up out there and he can shoot over most guys that would be in the zone area to guard him. Lewis having all kinds of problems with his shot today.
Padgett again left over, 3-pointer. A 14-4 run by Kentucky after Minnesota took the lead.
And one of the reasons, Jim, Kentucky is always so effective from the perimeter. Lewis loses it out of bounds on just a mishandled pass. One of the reasons why Kentucky shoots so well from the perimeter is that Rick Pitino gives you that liberty to keep taking them.
Jackson comes back in. Number 24 after turnover. Number 24 by Minnesota. Edwards for the Cats, and Mercer kind of slowly makes his way to the Kentucky bench.
I'd imagine that we're going to see the trainer working on him in a hurry. Epps likewise.
5 minutes remaining. Kentucky has regained control of this game, but commits the turnover. The pass, maybe a little too much zip on it for Edwards.
And what we're seeing tired ball players right now because of fatigue, not being able to execute.
Padgett reached in, and he'll foul out of the game.
This is a big foul for 2 reasons. Padgett, the one guy that could create the perimeter game, now that Mercer's having all kinds of problems with his legs. Derek Anderson up off that bench looking like he's wanting to say, Coach, you got to put me in. Padgett just doesn't quite get there in time.
Prickett will replace him. He has 4 fouls, so still hope for the Minnesota faithful. I know there's one down there at the Players Championship who's the reigning British Open champion and former golf coach at the University of Minnesota, Tom Lehman. He wanted to wear the Gopher jersey today. 1-1. And
that's got the easiest job in the world, being a golf coach in Minnesota. What do you have, a 3-week season, Jim?
You sell skis during the off-season.
I see. Mercer really having problems with those cramps. And come within 8 at 65-57. He wouldn't let him wear the jersey down there. Jacobson's jersey was couriered to him, but
Didn't fit Tour code, I guess.
Boy, Turner's showing some real stamina, isn't he, Jim? He's been asked to play against hard-nosed defense all night and be the primary ball handler. He's getting the job done. Here he comes back out to get it again.
Under 10 on the shot clock. Wide open Mills. What a tournament for this man. You know, 2 years ago, you never believed this guy'd ever see a minute at a Final Four. Now the turnover, Bobby Jackson. Oh,
no, it's going to be a hold on Mills.
Wow.
But, Jim, Mills made the shot. He spotted up where he was supposed to be, and he waited for one thing, and that was a great play by Turner. The clock winded down. Terrific penetration, and look at this kick out. Mills had to do what he does so well. Square up. Perfect rotation, hits the jumper.
Mills is now 15 of 20 in the NCAA tournament from 3. Only 75%. You take that from the free throw line. Tarver 1-1. Barely grazed the rim. Thomas.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. He willed that one home.
Jim, the total number of points that Mills scored in '96 for the season, 6.
And tonight, Mills has 10 in the Final Four. Muhammad. Turnaround rejected by James. And a foul on Muhammad.
Now, Rick Pitino doesn't want any fouls the rest of the way. He can help it for a lot of reasons. He needs bodies out there. That's his fourth, right? But more importantly, he doesn't want this clock stopped.
Well, think about the body situation here. Mercer, he's limping to the scorer's table. They've already fouled out Padgett. You've got Muhammad and Prickett on the floor with 4 each. McClure will take Muhammad's place.
And I really thought the bench of Minnesota would be very draining, maybe draining enough to come out with a victory, but certainly the kind of a bench and wear and tear game that makes it very difficult for a team to rebound after one day.
Lynn Haskins' wife, Yvette.
Basketball family.
Their daughter.
One of the great women's players in college basketball, now an outstanding coach herself.
Clement at Dayton. 8-point Kentucky lead with 3:44 remaining.
She packed my bags last night, pre-flight. 0 hour, 9 a.m. I miss the earth so much, I miss my wife. It's lonely out in space on such a timeless flight. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time till touchdown brings me round again to find I'm not the man they think I am at home. Oh, no, no, no. I'm a rocket man, burning out his fuse out here.
The coming of age of the adolescent grizzly bear, a strange rite of passage where they cry out for their most primal, urgent need.
Heaven help us if they ever learn the Macarena.
Pepsi, Generation Next.
Only by going alone in silence can one get into the heart of the wilderness. All other travel is mere dust and hotels and baggage and chatter.
In touch with Kentucky for 40 years.
one thing to remember, Minnesota, when it has outshot the other team field goal percentage-wise on the season, as it is doing today, it's 25-0. But here they trail by 8 with only 3:44 remaining.
Jim, but Minnesota hasn't turned the ball over 24 times. That's made up for that shooting percentage. There are some walking wounded out there right now. Mercer hurting. Epps is hurting on the bench. And the one guy that's been able to stay out there under all this pressure, Turner, however, is still out there, and he's going to have the ball in his hands.
On the floor, and a tie-up, and Minnesota ball.
Didn't get the 20.
In fact, there are no more 20s for either side. Just 2 full timeouts each. A little foul that they didn't call. Diving on the pile. Jackson got the tie up. Minnesota now needs to make every possession into the score. You're down 8 with 3:30 to go.
Bobby Jackson getting that ball where he doesn't want it, down in the deep corner.
Jackson with Mills guarding him. Jackson over Mills. Mills comes away with the loose ball.
Really think Jacobson needs to get into the game, Jim. They need another scorer right now. Harris is really hurting with that shoulder. He's not going to take a shot.
Mills from 3.
Harris can't even lift his arm.
Watch Jackson drive to the basket to reach in on Turner. 2 shots.
Watching Harris out there, Jim, you're talking about a guy that's playing one-armed, cannot reach, put his arm over his head. Here's Jackson trying to take it all the way. Turner had ball, but he also had some body.
Minnesota from the line in the second half has made only 3 of 8, while Kentucky's drained 9 of 10. They are really letting it slip at the line.
6th leading scorer in the Big Ten. 2nd in steals, 6th in assists. Fine all-around player, but he's going to have to come up big the rest of the way here.
68-61, Kentucky. Familiar with that score in this building. That's the score by which they lost to Clemson to open the season. Muhammad. Oh, it hung on the rim for a couple of seconds. Nazr Muhammad. He was a JV star last year for Kentucky. Not a prime-time player, but he is tonight.
Well, if his friends will only remember him the way he looked when he arrived at Kentucky, they wouldn't have any idea who this young man is right now. His body fat percentage went from 24 down to 13. Looks like an entirely different person, and all falling right for Kentucky.
9-point lead, 2:38. Thomas blocked by Muhammad.
Well, this combination of McGloire and Muhammad, Jim, don't get a lot of credit, but that's a pretty good twosome at the center position for Kentucky. Look at Harris running around, Jim. He can't even move his arm. He really is useless on the floor.
Jackson almost took his eye off of it and lost it. 3-point shot. James tips it up and in. Down to 7. 2:15 to go. Need a big defensive play here. Rickett can't convert. Harris has it. Minnesota breaks early. And a foul on Jacobson.
Bobby Jackson went in the air. He had intended to get it to Jacobson. Unfortunately, James touched it. Here's the tip. James going up. Beautiful soft touch. Here we'll see the tip. Jacobson, not much he can do, Jim, if he didn't foul there. You've got Mercer away for an easy dunk.
Mercer only 7 of 21 from the field, 33% tonight.
Ron Mercer probably learned a little lesson of what it will be like on the next level. You just don't always get your open jump shot. When you get hammered, you got to go back into the fray. He got disgusted with himself, start flattening out his shot in the first half.
Edwards comes in for him.
Rick Pitino doing that offense-defensive maneuver here, trying to get Ron Mercer ready for Monday night with those legs, putting ice packs on him. Jackson taking too much time.
Jacobson forced 3 off the rim.
Well, it looks like Wildcats, Jim.
Second time ever, 2 Wildcats back in 51, Kansas State and Kentucky. There are Wildcats. Edwards is up shy. Loose ball to Minnesota. They have to draw on that Indiana experience.
They got to go for threes now.
Tie up, and it's Kentucky ball. Now, that's the only thing that I could harken back to give him any hope. That was the 7-point comeback with 50 seconds to go at Indiana, where they pulled it out in overtime. But here it's 9 with Kentucky's possession and a timeout. Only 65 seconds away from having the Monday night final all set.
It's the only one out there. And here it comes. The only compact pickup to offer a third door. Okay, folks, show's over. Chevy S10, like a rock.
Ain't said these are Mitch Richmond shoes.
Yeah, the Nike Air Bacon. He plays in them.
Man, nobody drains the 3.
Kid.
Like Mitch?
Wait till you see him in a game.
Nobody gets you closer to the game than Foot Locker, where it all begins.
Hey, buddy. I'll trade you my scarf for that last Bud Light. Come on. But the hat? That's fair. What more could you possibly want, huh? Oh. You got a raw deal.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down.
I never said it was the last one.
Make it a Bud Light.
When you consider the potential for long-term performance, it's easy to see why over 10 million investors put their trust in Fidelity. All aboard. Call 1-800-FIDELITY for a free copy of our fund guide.
NASCAR's hottest racers are breaking in and burning up the Texas Motor Speedway. Saturday, the Coca-Cola 300. Sunday, the Interstate Batteries 500. Next weekend on CBS.
Kentucky ball, 9-point lead. In a timeout situation. Minnesota with 2 full timeouts. And Billy, what can you say about the rest of the way?
What you're going to see the rest of the way, Rick Pitino knows how to defend the 3, and that's exactly what he's going to do. And if you're Minnesota, you have got to take some threes now. Figure out a way to penetrate and kick on out.
Prickett go to the line for 2. James Hacknam. Prickett. We've talked so many times through the years, Billy, doing Kentucky games about his sensational freshman year experience in the tournament. And, he had to sit out last year. Played 5 games, got the medical red shirt. But as a freshman, he had the 22-point game against Florida State in a regional final.
11 rebounds in that ball game.
And then against Michigan at the Final Four as a freshman. matched up against Chris Webber. He had 9 points and 7 rebounds.
He was the all Southeast region that particular year. West Virginia Player of the Year coming out of high school. And now the record holder of most games played ever in a Kentucky uniform.
That's the first time he's missed a free throw at a Final Four. He was 7 of 7 in that game against Michigan from the line.
You know that record that he broke, 139 games, set by Ralph Beard.
Epps moved past Beard also.
Yep.
Long ball, Brickett's down there to defend. Jacobson gains control of it, 3-point shot, and Epps with the long rebound. Epps going to the line. They come over for a quick piece of strategy from the coach.
Well, Rick Pitino.
You can tell by his gait, he's got plans for Monday night.
Yes, he does. 1987, 10 years ago, brought Providence to Kentucky for a Final Four. Who would have ever dreamed that particular night that he would be coaching the Wildcats 10 years later?
We'll have two coaches in the final who were at their 4th Final Four, 3 with their present school and 1 with another.
That's right.
Olson and Pitino.
And how about Eddie Sutton on there? The one team that he didn't take to the Final Four was Kentucky, a team that he coached.
Well, we won't count the Creighton experience, but he's the only guy to take 4 teams to the NCAA tournament. You factor in the Creighton years.
Kentucky not going to foul, but they're going to play everything on the perimeter here. Look at this, tight on the perimeter.
Jacobson, 3 over Prickett. Jackson puts it back in. 10-point game. Timeout, 38 seconds. 1 timeout remaining for Minnesota. We'll be right back.
What's more amazing than the places you can go on the internet? The fact that you don't need a computer to get there. Web TV from Philips Magnavox. The internet now on your television at an affordable price.
Score big with Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny in Space Jam for sale on video. Time to play a little basketball. Space Jam for sale on video.
A lot of people my age set off on cruises around the world. Now, I set off on a second career. Hi, guys. Of course, my Dean Witter Broker's impeccable investment advice prepared me for any sort of retirement I chose. And I chose to start over with a business of my own.
Wait a minute, are you sure you're old enough to be here?
That's my idea of a fascinating adventure.
At Dean Witter, we measure success one investor at a time.
Business is a race. For a head start, the Xerox DocuColor 40 lets you print or copy 40 color pages in just 60 seconds. Because in the business world, the tortoise never wins. The Document Company, Xerox.
Said he was going to call us, tell us what it feels like.
Across America, more people use Cellular One than any other cellular service.
Hello?
Send email, get sports scores, find dinosaurs. Is something missing? Exactly. The computer. Web TV from Philips Magnavox. The internet now on your television at an affordable price.
May 4th. Hold on and strap yourself in for the most explosive Chuck Norris movie ever. Sons of Thunder, CBS May 4th.
Only 38 seconds remaining. Ron Mercer's parents, Bertie, his mother, ML's father, and their son with 19 points on the night has an even 1,000 now for his career at Kentucky in 2 years.
Jim, looking ahead to Monday night, I think a lot is going to be determined on the basis of what Kentucky's trainer can do tomorrow. This is a team that really had to play the kind of club that takes so much out of you physically. We know that Kentucky is not deep. Guys like Turner played just a terrific basketball game physically. Mercer, we saw that about midway through the second half, really having leg cramps. Epps got a little bit of a problem. Padgett had ice on his shoulder. Be interesting.
Still wonder about Jason Terry. Had to go to a local hospital, and
well, we liked Arizona's attitude the day before the Kansas game in practice. They had kind of the chip on their shoulder. They were loose. Felt that they were the kind of team that could come into that particular region and be winners, when all of us thought that Kansas was an automatic.
They continue to say they are scared of no one and feel no pressure. Jackson hits the basket. That's a Arizona team that was down by 10 late in the opening game against South Alabama and showed tremendous fortitude to come back, win that game. Down 10, second half, College of Charleston. Came back to win that game. And Clem Haskins, and what a great season. I had a chance to be with him this week, and I tell you, this wonderful family man going to have other occasions to bring Minnesota back to the Final Four.
And Jim, think about something. Less than a week ago, Providence, with 3.5 seconds to go, have a chance to make the basket that Arizona doesn't even get here. So, you know, when you talk about a club that's shown signs of resiliency, they'd have to be it.
Team has got the good karma going. Tonight on CBS, stay tuned for Everybody Loves Raymond, starring Ray Romano. That's after action here in Indianapolis. Final 16 seconds. Kentucky played 10 players tonight, and all 10 of them got in the scoring column, including Derek Anderson.
Well, we watched Derek Anderson the day after we did this, or the day that we did the Cincinnati Marquette game. Went down to watch Kentucky practice. He walked out there and went through a series of exercise that was absolutely spectacular. Showed the kind of fortitude he had to try to get back. And how about Rick Pitino saying, even though the doctors okayed him, we're not going to play him. He doesn't want to hurt his chances for the future.
Carver scores inside. And Kentucky is all set to go back and try to achieve back-to-back national championships. Rick Pitino now 26-6 at Kentucky in the NCAA tournament. So Monday night, it will be a cat fight. And likely to be a wild one at that. Arizona and Kentucky for the national championship. We'll hear from Rick Pitino when we come back to Indianapolis. We're all set. The championship game will be Kentucky and Arizona.
At the Principal Financial Group, you'll find the strength of our investment performance is your 401k retirement advantage. You'll find our flexibility will meet your insurance needs, and you'll find the balance of choice and quality you need in health coverage. For over a century, you've trusted the Principal for strength, flexibility, and balance in retirement, insurance, and financial products. At the Principal, we give you an edge.
Budner, get these tax documents to our clients fast, but watch our costs.
FedEx can deliver it in 2 days for about $8. UPS can deliver it in 2 days for about $7.
Priority Mail can deliver it in 2 to 3 days for $3.
Smart move, Budner.
So, 8, 7, 3, what's your priority?
switch to priority mail from the U.S. Postal Service.
Introducing the all-new Chevy Venture. It's the only minivan to offer a separate front and rear sound system. Because kids don't ever listen to the same music their parents do. Chevy Venture is here.
Andiamo, Mama! Welcome back to Indianapolis, and Kentucky beats Minnesota 78-69, and for the second straight year, Rick Pitino will face a 4 seed in the title game. He's standing by live with Jim Nantz. We'll get to that in a minute. But coming up tonight on CBS, it's Everybody Live. Nine o'clock Eastern for Prelude to a Championship, followed by the national championship game between Arizona and Kentucky. Now let's go down to Jim Nantz and Billy Packer with Rick Pitino. Jim?
Thank you, Pat. And the roar you heard, they just finished my old Kentucky home, and Kentucky seems to be right at home playing for the championship, going for back-to-back on Monday night. How did you guys do it here tonight?
Well, it's a wonderful thing. We had a lot of problems tonight with Ron Mercer cramping up, had some rebounding woes, some early foul trouble with Padgett and Prickett, but we played a great basketball team. We faced 4 teams in this. Iowa, I thought, was tremendous. St. Joe's, I thought Utah was great. And this team is the best we've played all year. They are as physical as it gets. We beat a terrific ball club, and our guys deserve a lot of credit.
And I know you love the play of your point guard, Wayne Turner, who once again had 5 steals tonight, 6 assists versus only 1 turnover. In an unsettled kind of environment, he was very steady tonight, wasn't he?
The thing that impresses me the most is he's pressing. He's being hawked on offense. He's not getting taken out for a break, and he still does that. And the play that Billy just mentioned earlier, the play that when he penetrated and hit Cameron Mills, I think was a big play for us.
I got to ask you about the most valuable player that I think you're going to have on your team if you play well Monday night. That's going to be the trainer. Your guys look like they're whipped, Rick.
Oh, we are. It's been a physical battle. Too many minutes, stress practice in the foots. But you know what? If we win the championship, which is going to be difficult to do now, we're playing a great basketball team, underrated by a lot of people. But if we do it, these guys are just, to me, the biggest dream players I've ever coached.
If we do it, it'll be because you happen to be one heck of a coach as well. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Rick. 27-17 run to close out the game after Minnesota took that 1-point brief lead. Good luck Monday night, and let's head it over now to Michelle Tafoya. Michelle?
All right, Jim, thank you very much. Standing by with Minnesota coach Clem Haskins, and Minnesota's first Final Four ever, and this team has had tremendous success all season long because they've expected success. What was different about today's game?
Well, first of all, Kentucky, you got to give them a lot of credit. They really brought the heat. We turned the ball over too many times, and without a lot of pressure, we made a lot of foolish turnovers. But again, the credit go to the University of Kentucky, and Rick Pitino did a great job. We just didn't execute the way we should have, but I'm so proud of my group of young men. They played a fantastic season, and there's so many wonderful things for this to be here. And 31-4, you can't complain about that. Yes, we want to win the national title, but we look forward to being back here next year.
After everything this team has been through this season, which has really been so much, success and otherwise, what are you going to say to them when you go in that locker room?
Well, number one, I'm congratulating my seniors for finishing on a high note, and they measured a lot of success, tasted a lot of victory this year. 31 is going to be a long time for a team at University of Minnesota to break that record, and they accomplished so much this year. So that we're going to congratulate those guys and talk about the positive thing. We're disappointed with the loss, but yet and still, we're pleased at the same time. It's going to be one Division I champ, and the University of Kentucky perhaps will do that against Arizona. But again, we wish them the best because they played outstanding basketball.
Clem, congratulations on an absolutely tremendous season. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
All right, Pat O'Brien, let's go back to you.
You can bet that he'll get his players through that because those players believe in Clem Haskins, as do a lot of people in this country. We congratulate him and the program. Our Chevrolet MVP players of the game tonight: Bobby Jackson from Minnesota, 23 points, 6 rebounds, and his final collegiate game. And Wayne Turner for Kentucky. Turner, a sophomore, at 8 points, 6 assists, 5 steals in the win. And we talked about him before the game that he would be a key in this ball game.
Very physical basketball game, and we said that matchup between Eric Harris and Wayne Turner would be the key, and Wayne Turner was terrific. 6 assists, only 1 turnover, played the most minutes under the most pressure, and made great plays throughout the ball game.
When you look at Minnesota, one of the things that hurt him, Clem Haskins talked about the turnovers, but also the inability to make consecutive baskets. They had too many empty trips after they had scored a basket.
We're down to our final 2 teams, and we'll be back after this. Hope you enjoyed the basketball. Stick around. We got some more to talk about when we come back from Indy.
falling in love again. Never wanted to. What am I to do? I can't help it. Love's always been my game. Play it how I may. I was made that way. I can't help it.
Can you hear me? Tell me your name.
Richard.
We're gonna take care of you, Richard.
I've got to run away. I've got to get away from the pain you drive into the heart of me. Once I ran to you. Now I run from you. This tainted love you've given, I give you all a boy could give you. Take my tears and that's not it.
He's crashing!
Turtles!
Clear?
Oh, you know.
Levi's wide leg jeans is wide open.
Did we rent with Hertz #1 Club Gold?
Did we rent with Hertz #1 Club Gold?
Did we rent with Hertz? Not exactly. Can't we skip the rental counter like it hurts?
Can't we skip the rental counter?
No, not exactly. No. Isn't our car under a canopy like it hurts?
Isn't a car under a canopy?
Not exactly. In rent-a-car, there's Hertz and there's not exactly. We can't repeat that too often. If you were the client, would you hire us?
Would you hire us?
If you were the client, would you? Exactly.
And so the fans will go out into the streets of Indianapolis tonight. Some of them winners, some of them will say they're losers, but they had the privilege of playing in the Final Four. And beautiful pictures, as always, from the Goodyear blimp as we look down on the RCA Dome. And it's been some afternoon and evening of basketball here on CBS and in the Final Four. And so it's Arizona and Kentucky on Monday night. What's your first headline, Mike?
I think two outstanding defensive teams, and Arizona has the type of team with good ball handlers that could give the Kentucky press a lot of problems.
I think it's spurtability against unflappability. Arizona has shown tremendous poise all year long, playing with an awful lot of confidence.
Either way, there's a lot of abilities involved in this
That's right,
thing.
a little
Isn't there? Coming up on CBS, it's Everybody Loves Raymond, and we want to circle Monday night on your calendar now. 9 o'clock Eastern. It's Prelude to a Championship, followed by the National Championship game. And join us tomorrow at 3 Eastern for the Jeep King of the Mountain Downhill World Championships. Then at 4 o'clock, it's the CBS Sports Show featuring former heavyweight champion James Buster Douglas taking on Brian Scott. Then at 5 o'clock, we'll preview the National Championship on the Final Two show. And we want to thank all of you for watching. Be safe out there. Hope you enjoyed the basketball here on CBS. For all of us here at CBS Sports, good night, everybody. See you tomorrow.